Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Rofi Pramanik with top stories. Senate approves Trump trade nominee Robert Lighthizer. Homeland Security Advisor outlines executive order. Acting FBI Director refutes White House claims on Comey. G7 finance chiefs arrive in Italy ahead of conference. Turkish academics continue hunger strike after job purge. Those are the headlines, now the details. The United States Senate on Thursday approved President Trump's trade nominee, veteran trade lawyer Robert Lighthizer, ahead of critical negotiations on NAFTA. The United States Senate on Thursday approved President Donald Trump's nominee for U.S. Trade Representative, a critical position ahead of negotiations of the North American Free Trade Agreement with Canada and Mexico. The Senate voted to confirm veteran trade lawyer Robert Lighthizer by a 82-14 vote. Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert outlines details of U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order aimed at strengthening the federal government's cybersecurity and protecting the nation's critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday signed an executive order aimed at strengthening the federal government's cybersecurity and protecting the nation's critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert outlined details of the executive order at Thursday White House briefing. The order is Trump's first significant action to address what he has called a top priority of his administration. Testifying before the Senate Intelligence Committee, acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe says our state FBI Director James Comey enjoyed broad support among the agency, rejecting White House claims those in the FBI lost faith in him.
Now, Mr. McCabe, the President's letter to Director Comey asserted that on 3 separate occasions, the Director informed him that he was not under investigations. Would it have been wrong for the Director to inform him he was not under investigation? It's a yes or no.
Sir, I'm not going to comment on any conversations that the Director may have had.
I didn't ask that. Would it have been wrong for the Director to inform him he was not under investigation? That's not about conversations. That's a yes or no answer.
As you know, Senator, we typically do not answer that question. I will not comment on whether or not the Director and the President of the United States had that conversation.
In your opinion, is it accurate that the rank and file no longer supported Director Comey?
No, sir, that is not accurate. I can tell you, sir, that I worked very, very closely with Director Comey. From the moment he started at the FBI, I was his Executive Assistant Director of National Security at that time. I then worked for him running the Washington field office, and of course I've served as deputy for the last year. I can tell you that I hold Director Comey in the absolute highest regard. I have the highest respect for his considerable abilities and his integrity, and it has been the greatest privilege and honor of my professional life to work with him. I can tell you also that Director Comey enjoyed support within the FBI and still does to this day. But I can confidently tell you that the vast majority of FBI employees...
Candor. Do you feel like you have the adequate resources for the existing investigations that the Bureau is invested in right now to follow them wherever they may lead?
Sir, if you're referring to the Russia investigation, I do. I believe we have the adequate resources to do it, and I know that we have resourced that investigation adequately. If you're referring to the many constantly multiplying counterintelligence threats that we face across the spectrum, they get bigger and more challenging every day, and resources become an issue over time. But in terms of that investigation, sir, I can assure you we are covered.
Finance chiefs from the Group of Seven begin a two-day meeting in Bari on Friday, with talks likely to focus on trade, climate change and Greek debt. IMF Chief Christian Lagarde, Bank of England Governor Mark Carney and President of the ECB Mario Draghi are among the G7 finance ministers arriving for a two-day conference in the Adriatic port city of Bari. The official agenda for the Group of Seven in the Adriatic port city of Bari focus on inequality, international tax rules, cybersecurity and blocking the funding of terrorism. However, many participants will be looking to U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin to gauge U.S. intention on issues where Trump has threatened to upset the group's consensus on protectionism and climate change. The closing statement from Bari will reiterate a warning against competitive devaluations. A squad in Ankara has become home to a daily protest against a government purge which has cost tens of thousands of Turks their jobs and livelihoods. After members of the military tried to overthrow Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan in 2016, the government launched a wide crackdown, firing tens of thousands of civil servants, judges, soldiers and academics that authorities viewed as a threat to national security. Among those purged from their jobs were thousands of educators, including literature professor Nuria Gluman and primary school teacher Semi Ozeka, who are on the 64th day of their hunger strike with a simple slogan, "I want my job back." Viewers, we will take a short break. Stay with us. We are back in a moment with the headlines here. Macron's squad, fresh faces fighting for a majority. Rohingya issues, Bangladesh seeks European Union's strong support to find solution. Hackers exploit stolen US spy agency tool to launch global cyber attack. Employment injury scheme soon for workers, said Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Bangladesh to be made high middle income country by 2030, said Khaleda Zia. With legislative elections looming next month, French President-elect Emmanuel Macron has announced most of the 577 candidates he will field, with his party saying that Socialist Prime Minister Manuel Valls doesn't qualify, and with strict criteria on who should. We'll look at some of those who have made the lineup.
Vive la République! Vive la France!
Unknown just 3 years ago, and with a party that's only 12 months old, Emmanuel Macron swept to victory in the French presidential election. His challenge now is to govern. Here in central Paris, I'm Reuters reporter Mia Womersley, where his party, En Marche la République, is announcing the candidates it'll be fielding in legislative elections next month. One of the men who was hoping to be on his list was former Socialist Prime Minister Manuel Valls. Now, he announced his intention to jump ship on Wednesday, but in a move that's been described by the French press as revenge, the man in charge of choosing Macron's candidates says he doesn't fit the criteria to recycle old politicians, but to find new faces. Macron has said that he wants half of his candidates to have no experience of lawmaking whatsoever. Of the first 14 that he named, one was a farmer, one a hospital worker, and one an entrepreneur. He's also said that at least half of them must be women. So, who does fit the bill? Well, first of all, we have the 33-year-old whiz kid and tech startup king, Mounir Majoubi. Of French-Moroccan descent and from what he describes as a poor working-class family, he was Macron's digital campaign manager. He's young, he's well-connected. He uses words like reunification and revolution. Then we have Jean-Michel Fauvergue, a top former counter-terrorism specialist. And it was his team that led the operations in the Bataclan in November 2015, when 3 Islamist militants broke their way into the concert hall and gunned down 90 people. And then we have Mireille Robert. She's been a head teacher since 1992. She's heavily involved in many charities with a particular focus on people with disabilities. Although it looks unlikely given that his party currently has no seats in parliament, experts say a majority is possible for Macron. But he's going to fight on his hands, particularly from the right-wing Conservatives. They're still smarting from the Macron effect, and they'll be trying to force his party into a cohabitation.
Bangladesh has sought sustained and strong support from the European Union to resolve the Rohingya refugee issues, referring to the gross violation of human rights of the Muslim population of the northern Rakhine state in Myanmar. Both sides also discussed the source of global terrorism and agreed to work closely to combat terrorism and violent extremism. The issues came up for discussion when Law Minister Anisul Haq and State Minister for Foreign Affairs Shahriar Alam met Member of European Parliament Christian Dan Preda and European Commissioner for Migration, Home Affairs, Citizenship Dimitris Avramopoulos separately at the European Parliament and European Commission respectively in Brussels on Wednesday. A global cyber attack leveraging hacking tools widely believed by researchers to have been developed by the United States National Security Agency hit international shipper FedEx, disrupted Britain's health system and infected computers in nearly 100 countries on Friday. Cyber extortionists tricked victims into opening malicious malware attachment to spam emails that appeared to contain invoices, job offers, security warnings and other legitimate files. The ransomware encrypted data on the computers, demanding payments of $300 to $600 to restore access. Security researchers said they observed some victims paying via the digital currency Bitcoin, though they did not know what percent they had given into the extortionist. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on Thursday said her government is going to introduce a long-term and sustainable employment injury scheme soon to ensure better benefits and support for workers. In the wake of recent incidents in RMG factories, we have got an impression that we need huge funds to provide compensation in case of my severe accident. The way out is to introduce a long-term and sustainable employment injury scheme. We have already started working to this end, she said. Sheikh Hasina was addressing a function marking the distribution of checks of financial assistance among 64 people, including successors of the deceased workers and their meritorious children studying in medical, engineering and agricultural disciplines from the Fund of Bangladesh Workers Welfare Foundation at her office. Bangladesh Nationalist Party BNP chairperson Khaleda Zia on Wednesday said her party wants to turn Bangladesh into a modern and democratic high middle income country by 2030 with per capita income of $5,000 US. BNP wants to transform Bangladesh by 2030 into a modern and democratic high middle income country within this period. The per capita income shall be upgraded to $5,000 US, she said. The former Prime Minister made the remarks while unveiling her party's 256-point Vision 2030 at a crowd press conference at capital Dhaka's Westin Hotel. To achieve the goal, Khaleda Zia said BNP will adopt creative and intelligent initiatives to boost the annual growth rate to a double-digit figure. Science and technology. International Space Station astronauts Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher have begun the station's historic 200th spacewalk since its construction in 1998. Their mission included replacing several pieces of hardware outside the station as well as installing a new high-definition camera. The work is which sounds ninth and is features first. The first spacewalk to placed December 7, 1998. That's when NASA astronauts Jerry Ross and Jim Newman attached and outfitted the Russian Zarya and US Unity modules. At the time, the ISS was considered one of the most ambitious and expensive engineering feats ever undertaken. A cheap and widely available drug could save the lives of 1 in 3 of the 1 lakh new mothers who bleed to death after childbirth each year, according to the first study of its use in postpartum hemorrhage. Delivering a baby carries big risks. For new mothers around the world, the biggest cause of death is postpartum hemorrhage, a form of severe bleeding that can kill if it is not treated in time. Husband of women who died as a result of postpartum hemorrhage. Husband of women who died as a result of postpartum hemorrhage, Anupam Chokomea, saying, "The baby came out, my wife started bleeding. They started bleeding and the bleeding could not stop. So we tried to take her to a hospital where they could really help us. But I think we did not get there in time." Virtual doctors could bring health information to patients. Smartphones with a new app being developed at the University of Southern California. Cardiologist Leslie Saxon can't be everywhere at once, but in the near future, maybe her digital avatar can. Avatar of cardiologist Leslie Saxon saying, "Hi, I'm cardiac electropsychologist Dr. Leslie Saxon. The goal with the doc on a smartphone app is to give patients a new option to obtain medical information from a healthcare provider they know and trust instead of watching a video or searching for information online." Viewers, now the news on business. The United States and China have agreed to increase access for U.S. financial firms in China and expand trade in beef and chicken. China agreed to open its market to U.S. card payment services, beef and chicken producers, and credit rating agencies, all this by July 16th. The deal comes after talks initiated by a meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in April. Danny Bahar of Brookings says it's a sign Trump in departing from his protectionist rhetoric. Danny Bahar, fellow Global Economy and Development Brookings Institute, I believe opening the Chinese markets to the financial sectors in the United States has potential because the financial sectors of the United States exports about $1 billion and it is a fast-growing sector. Weak economic data and worries over the retail sectors raised the markets lower Friday. Worries over retailers and weak economic data pulled down Wall Street Friday and the markets lost ground for the week. Stocks once again traded in a narrow range. Investors avoided risk buying gold, pushing its price up by the most in a month. Recon Capital's Kevin Kelly, Chief Investment Officer, Recon Capital Partners, saying the consumer is walking on eggshells right now. And I think that's what the markets are really trying to digest because oil has stayed low for long, so we haven't seen a trickle up in gas prices that should really hurt. Viewers, now the news on entertainment. Oscar chief Charlie Boone Isaacs has decided to step down from governor's board. Cherry I. Boone Isaacs, the president of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, which organizes the Oscars, has decided to step down. The announcement that she is not seeking re-election to the board follows controversies over diversity at the Oscars and a blunder over the Best Picture winner at this year's glittering awards show. Boone Isaacs, the Academy's first African-American president in departing after serving 24 years on the board of the Academy that included 4 years as president. Under Academy rules, she was not eligible to seek another term as president. In a statement, she said, "It's been my greatest honor serving on the Academy's board of governors in numerous capacities for more than 2 decades, and it will be a privilege to provide the opportunity for new voices to have a seat at the table." The book says the UK can't possibly win Eurovision this year, but singer Louis Jones still believes there is a chance of an upset. "Never tell me the odds," say Han Solo in The Empire Strikes Back after C-3PO tells him his chances of successfully navigating an asteroid field are 3,722-1. It's a sentiment Louis Jones would not doubt agree with, having been confronted daily with people telling her unlikely she is to win Eurovision this year. Viewers, now the news on sports. Chelsea were crowned Premier League champions as Missy Batshuayi's its late goal helped them the victory they required to secure the title at West Brom. It looked as though Antonio Conte's side might be forced to delay their celebration as they were frustrated for long periods by the resilience and organization of their host, but the mood changed and the title was won the 8 minutes left as a substitute. Batshuayi, who had previously endured a session of struggle after his 33-meter Euro move from Shakib Al Hasan expects Bangladesh to improve the longer the tri-series in Ireland goes on after conceding it took time to get used to the conditions in their opening game against the host on Friday. Bangladesh lost their first 4 wickets inside 15 overs, but an unbroken stand of 87 between Tamim Iqbal and Mahmudullah put them back into control before rain ended the game after 31 overs. It is different to what we are used to early on, and it was not easy. But as the ball got older and softer, the ball was coming nicely onto the beat. Police have arrested 3 people suspected of illegal betting in the Indian Premier League. The men were arrested on Thursday at a hotel where 2 IPL teams were staying after a match in the northern city of Kanpur. Police told the BBC that the men had contact with low-level staff at Green Park Stadium to obtain information about the condition of the pitch. 2 IPL teams and 3 players were banned in 2013 on corruption charges. Viewers, let's have a look Millennium TV News recap. Senate approves Trump trade nominee Robert Lighthizer. Homeland Security Advisor outlines executive order. Acting FBI Director refused White House claims on Comey. G7 finance chiefs arrive in Italy ahead of conference. Turkish academics continue hunger strike after job purge. Viewers, to get any kinds of news, log in our social media, facebook.com/Millennium TV USA and youtube.com/Millennium TV USA. You are up to date with our top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log in our website www.millenniumtv.org. Thank you and stay with Millennium TV. Allah Hafiz.